guys, Dan here, and I know this video has been a long awaited. I've been talking about it for a couple of, I want to say weeks now. I just says I have Crohn's disease. I wanted to make this little video just because I don't know if you, it depends on where, if you've known me for a while and you follow my Instagram and my Twitter, you would have seen me do rants and like post photos and all that, and you may have got an idea of something. This video will kind of give you guys a little inside scoop into how my life's been for the last 14 years. I have, if you see me looking down, I have like little notes so I know like what to go over, because I don't want this to be a real chatty video, but I feel like it could, so please bear in mind with me. If you have been following me, you will know that I can be very chatty and I mumble when I talk really fast, so I do apologize, and I'm going to try and not do that. So if I'm looking down, that's what I'm doing. 5 topics that I want to talk about. I think that kind of covers it all, because ever since I did get diagnosed with Crohn's, I've always wanted to produce a book, and publish a book I should say, about like my journey with it. So I don't really want to go into too much in case I do end up doing that, but this is just, I had to stop talking and get into it. Crohn's disease is a chronic inflammatory bowel disease, IBD for short. It is in the autoimmune section of like diseases you can get, and because it is chronic, it has no cure. I don't know why I made that sound. So basically there's no cure for it. I will live with this for the rest of my life, and well, unless one day they make a cure, but I think this Crohn's isn't the top of the list to get cured. They've got other shit. It basically affects anywhere in your gastrointestinal tract, which is basically gum to bum. That is the short term of what the disease is. It's a gum to bum disease. The most common symptoms with Crohn's disease are diarrhea, abdominal pain, cramping, fatigue, fever, and dramatic weight loss. Like, I can go, when I'm flaring really bad, I go down, well now I go down to like 40 kilos. When I was a little kid, I went down to 28 kilos. I don't know what that converts to in pounds, but if you wanted to know, you can convert that. I don't know. I've had all these symptoms, as well as I've had some skin rashes and joint pain. So basically Crohn's is where your white blood cells attack other healthy cells, thinking that they are an infection. When I was diagnosed with Crohn's in December of 2005, that's what how my doctor explained it. They even showed me this little comic that I will put on the screen for you now. So it's like a little comic where it just showed like all the cells fighting, even though they're all the same, but they think something's wrong with us, so they attack each other. It's probably not the case now, but I liked how it was explained to me. Like, as a 10-year-old, that's probably the easiest way a doctor could explain what is wrong with you and like what's happening inside your body. They probably explain it a whole lot easier now. We are going back 14 years, so doctors probably have a better explanation of how they're doing things now. Like I just said, it was in 2005, in the end of it. I was I was 10 years old, and it's getting towards the end of the year. About halfway through the year, so just after I turned 10, I started getting really bad cramping, really bad temperatures, and I was getting fatigued quite a lot. And then off and on for a couple of months, that was happening. And then around end of October into November, I started getting really, like, I was getting really sick, getting really bad. And I ended up, like, as soon as I would eat something, as soon as something went in my mouth, as soon as I took a bite of something, I was straight to the toilet I had diarrhea and I was vomiting. And at the time, it kept going. I was off and on then, from then all the way into December. And like I've been seeing the GP and then my parents had had enough, so they took me to a specialist. And I don't mean anything wrong with like the medical field. This guy just, I want to say he probably shouldn't have had his medical license, because he told my parents that don't worry about it, I was just a 10-year-old anorexic and it was just a phase and I'll be fine. Like, what the fuck? Thankfully my parents thought this guy was a big dickhead and they sprayed him saying, what anorexic has over 40-degree temperatures and diarrhea and cramping, and then the guy's like kind of shat his pants and he referred me to another specialist. That guy reviewed that guy then did some blood tests. They were a bit weird, and then some levels were elevated. So then he's like, okay, I'm gonna get you to go do an ultrasound. When they did the ultrasound, they found the lining of my intestines were thicker than the average person. So which then that guy referred me onto my first gastroenterologist, and she did another lot of blood tests for herself, which gave her the results where we needed to end up doing a endoscopy and a colonoscopy to confirm that I actually had Crohn's disease, and we ended up doing that. And yes, if you've ever had the prep for that shit, you'll understand. And that was feral. Like, 10-year-old me, I don't know how I drank that shit. So glad I don't have to drink it now. I'll explain that later in the video. When that doctor found that I had Crohn's, I also at the time had reflux, really bad reflux, and I had Helicobacter. Haven't actually had them since being diagnosed. It was only that first time. So, they know about that. As you might suspect, I will learn to talk. So I've just noticed the lighting has gone really weird. I'm sorry. I don't have proper lighting. I go with daylight, so sorry about that. Well, like I said, I've had Crohn's disease for 14 years, since I've been on everything that the PBS and the government over here in Australia has basically on the market. And because I'm classified as severe Crohn's disease, I've been on everything. Like, I don't know what the drugs are like over in America or the UK or anywhere else it is, but because mine is so severe, it's harder to get into remission, and so it's hard to find a drug that's actually going to work. There are a few that I haven't that are in Australia, but because I've been on everything else and they were similar in a way, my doctors didn't bother me putting on it because I knew how bad I was and it wasn't going to be worth putting me through it because it just wasn't going to work. I'm currently only on 2 medicines that are helping me control it at the moment. They are thyroguamine, or the common name is Lanvis, and I don't actually know how to pronounce the proper name for the other one, but the common name is Stelara. I normally learn the proper names so it's easier for doctors to understand. The last 14 years I've done nearly every medical procedure there possibly you can do for someone that has Crohn's disease. I've had numerous MRIs, I've had numerous ultrasounds, which I still find funny because the day that I get pregnant I'll be so weird because I'm not used to going in there for that. Blood tests, x-rays. I've had, in the last 14 years I've had 3 nasal gastric feeding tubes. You know, the people unionize in where they get the tube down your nose into your stomach so you can eat, I should say, not feed. With that I've had 6 lots of TPN. Also had 3 PICC lines. You know that I've had 1 in my left arm. I don't know if you'll be able to see the scars, but there's a scar there. And then I had 2 on my right arm, and I actually told the guy that did this one not to get it in my tattoo. That's why if you ever see it, my scar is just above my tattoo here. It's a thing, I just don't like them ruining my tattoo. I've been in the ICU and I've had surgery, which I will get into those 2 things a little bit later. And I've had numerous, as you can guess, numerous amounts of endoscopies and colonoscopies, which you just gotta joke about it when you go in there with your doctor. It's the only way to pass time. Yeah, like I said, I have severe Crohn's disease, and all of these medications that I've been on, these two now are maintained it, but I wasn't on Stelara. I've already been on that now for just over a year and, what are we in? We're in February now. A year and 2 months I've been on that. I was on the thyroguamine for quite a while because I was in between medications. My last one just wasn't working. And so my Crohn's was getting worse and worse because the drugs weren't putting me into remission. So basically, and well, we had trouble with doctors, and I was in the public system, then I went to the private system. And basically, oh, another thing, I've nearly died 3 times because of my Crohn's. The first one was when I was first diagnosed when I was a kid. I was a week from death because we hadn't figured out what medication to put me on yet, and I was just, like, spiraling downhill. So I nearly died then. I nearly died the second time when I was in the public system because my doctor was a fucking cunt. And then this third time now I would get into was because my bowel was about to perforate. My doctors never told me at the time that. They were trying to push me to do surgery, which I ended up doing. But because that was the worst my Crohn's has ever been, this one. Because I would bloat like really bad. I'll insert some pictures of that. It kind of looked like I was pregnant, and it was really weird how much, like, that's just bloating, people. But I looked like I was at least like 2, maybe 3 months pregnant. So yeah, when I got really bad, and this was in 2017, my last flare. And my doctor and my surgeon were like kind of pushing, like, because there was no medical, there were no medications at that time that I could go on. I was in between, nothing was on the market yet. So they're like, we need to go down the surgical route, and we need to, basically they wanted to give me an ileostomy. We didn't know if it was going to be a temporary one or a permanent one at the time. They just know we needed to do it, otherwise, well, they knew, but I didn't know. I was about to perforate my bowel and I would die that way. So for like 4 days before this, I was like tossing up basically between life and death, which one I wanted to do. Very, very, very scary time of my life. I was only 21. I was about to turn 22. So, and I'm like, my experience is good. I'm not saying that others would definitely have it worse with me, but mine is, it has been a shitty run. I haven't had the best luck, as I would say, but I've always fought through it. So, but this one, it was just, you know, when you reach your breaking point, you're just like, I've had enough. So I never wanted to do the surgery. So that was a really, really hard 4 days for me. I kept tossing, and how I came to the decision to actually do the surgery was because of one person. They don't know that they did this for me. They probably never will, because I doubt they'll ever see this video. But you can already probably tell because I did put him in the thumbnail. But it was because of Jared Padalecki. Jared, I say, he did save my life. He did help me come to the decision, even though I know a lot of people might be saying, like, I didn't, like, I saved myself, not Jared. But if it wasn't for Jared being a part of my life, I would never sign that consent form, and I would have died at 21. So I kind of owe my life to Jared. I don't know how I could ever thank him for what he's done, but yeah, I'm gonna skip that, and I'm gonna try not to cry about this. I ended, yeah, so like I say, I pictured Jared helped me because I just pictured him coming into my hospital room, having a seat with me and just chatting about what I should be doing with my life. And I know that kind of sounds weird, but that's the only way that I could calm myself down from my panic attacks that I was having in there because of this. Yes, I also suffer from anxiety and depression from my Crohn's, but I'll get into that in just a little sec. But they were so bad. I had psychiatrists called, the doctors, to calm me down, but other than the drugs when I got real bad, Jared calms me, and he has always done that. So that happened, and we ended up doing, like I said, the 4 days later when I made up my mind with the help of Jared, I did end up getting the surgery, and I am alive today, and all that is because of Jared. And I ended up having my ileostomy, but it is a permanent one now. I am stuck with this now for the rest of my life. There's no way for me to reverse it unless scientists in the future can give me a 3D printing of a new intestine. If you have been on my Instagram, you already know what it looks like. So, oh god. I will live this bag for the rest of my life, which is basically, you can't see it under my, well you can if I have tight clothes, but that, as you would just saw, I write on it, always keep fighting, purely because of Jared. And I know it's been nearly 2 years since I've had surgery, but it's still a new life getting used to, and Jared helps in that way. Like I have no shame towards my disease or anything. It's just a new life getting used to. Like you got to get to a new me and how to do routines. So and I post it all the time. You would see it on my Instagram. The funny part though was, after doing surgery, it was like a clean slate, like a new bill of health, but it only lasted 6 months. That's right. I was completely Crohn's free, nothing in my body, no symptoms, nothing showed up on blood tests or colonoscopies. It was all free for 6 months. Then we did another colonoscopy and a blood test, and we found out there was about 10 to 20 centimeters of it starting to come back at the end of my stoma. And then we ended up putting me on the Stellara to help maintain and like jump on the head of it to get it under control. But since doing surgery, I have had no Crohn symptoms. I've had no Crohn symptoms like at all. I've had no cramping, which was a major issue for me. I always had so much pain. Like I would put heat pack on heat pack on heat pack on me with a shit ton of painkillers. Like I'll insert some photos how much I used to because I used to put the heat pack from the microwave straight onto my skin. Doctors used to freak out when they would see this, because it's basically, I was giving myself, I don't know what degree burn it was, but it was some sort of degree burn. Like you can see in the photos, my brother used to call it my stomach raw mince, if you remember, because that's what it kind of looked like. To me, it's something I just had to do to deal with the pain. I used to be able to get 2 bites of a meal, and then I would be straight on doing that after I just had like some serious painkillers and heat pack. It's just, I wouldn't be able to eat. It's the only positive I want to say from surgery. There are more, but I'm still getting used to that, and it's a lot to do with the depression and anxiety, but that's part of life and my new life that I need to get. But yes, I will say that my ileostomy had made a major impact on the quality of my life now. I can do a lot more things that I wasn't allowed to do before, prior to surgery. I'm having Crohn's disease for, like I said, 14 years. Anxiety and depression are bound to happen. Even the doctors warn you about it. Mine is treated with my doctors. I now know how to deal with it. I have my own coping I don't want to say mechanism, but I have my own way of coping for that when these episodes come up, and I know how to, if it's happening and I know how to get through it, and I know how to also stop it if I can feel it coming on. So that's good in a way. And when I have a panic attack or I have any sort of self-harm and suicidal thoughts, the only thing that pulls me out of that dark place is Jared, and he brings me back to the light and makes me see the positive things that there are in life. Jared has been in my life since Jared's been in my life for 17 years. He came in when I was 7 years old, when I first saw him in the Disney movie A Ring of Endless Light. I know it's going to sound like a real cliche, and it probably just sounds like a celebrity crush to some people. I know it does to my family and friends. Like, they know he's my idol and that, but they don't know the deeper effect that he has on me. Jared has been the only constant in my life for these last, basically he's been there for nearly my entire life, the only constant through all the phases that I've been through. He is the only one that when I am down can bring me back up and make me smile and want to go out and live life the way that's meant to be. Like I said, at the time I was 21, I still had my whole life ahead of me. I'm about to turn 24. So there's a lot that I haven't done yet, and I still want to go out and experience, because that's what life is. You need to go out and live your life, basically. And Jared helped me do that. And Jared, I know you probably will never see this video, but on the off chance that you did, I don't know how I could possibly thank you enough for what you have done for me, because I owe you everything. I owe you my life. So grateful that you were part of my life, and I don't know how to articulate myself in words of thanks. And basically I love you so much, and I really wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you being in my life. I know I don't know you from a bar of soap, and you don't know me from a bar of soap. We live on opposite sides, not only of the world, but of, for a better word, the screen. And even though I have met you once and I did want to express my love and thank you to you, I never did. I hope that if I ever meet you again, I do get to, because when I needed you the most, you were there. And I know I may get a ton of shit for saying that and thinking that way, but Jared, you really do help me. And I wish I could pay you back in some way the amount that you've helped me and given to me, but I don't think there is anything in the world that I can give back to you and say thanks for what you do. You make me a better person than I can ever imagine being, and I love you, and I don't know what else I can say. Maybe I'll be able to express myself better if I wrote you a letter, but that's all I'm really going to say for now on that, because I don't want to start crying on video with this. I'm going to probably cry afterwards. Today is the 5th of February 2019, and I'm doing pretty alright, I would say. I'm still on those 2 medications I told you about, thoraguamine and Stellara. The thoraguamine is a tablet that I take, and the Stellara is an self-injection. Like, I suck it out of the vial into a needle and I stab myself every 8 weeks. In 2 weeks I will be seeing my gastroenterologist and be doing another blood test, and we'll be finding out if my CRP levels are actually in the right zone where they classify it as being in remission. Still have no symptoms of any sort of Crohn's, except for now the only side of, it's not really pain, it's more like a discomfort feeling because of my ileostomy. When if something doesn't digest properly, it's a bit of pain coming out. That's kind of really the only issue I have, besides a wound I have from surgery. The problem, besides the little digestive food, which I just need to learn to what I can and can't eat now, and to just chew my food a lot more than a normal person would, is that wound from surgery. When it was like 2 days after surgery and my stitches came undone, and then the surgeon didn't want to restitch me. He said no, because this wound had to heal from the inside out and like that. So I've had other procedures done with him, but they weren't working, so I ended up doing, as you would have seen if you've been following my Instagram for the last 3 months, I'm doing this new therapy called hyperbaric medicine, which basically is, I'll insert a couple of pictures while I'm talking. You go into this chamber, it's called the chamber, but it's just basically you go into this room where you sit on this chair, and they give you a little hood, which is kind of like a little astronaut mask, or if you're claustrophobic they give you a mask like Top Gun, and you breathe in 100% oxygen, and that helps heal things. It gives the oxygen goes in your blood and it takes it to areas which are hard to heal, and that's basically where my wound is. It's a very low vasculated area, so this has actually been helping, and it saves me going under the knife, because I was doing that quite a lot with my surgeon, because that's what surgeons like to do, they just like to cut. So this is a helping. The wound has come very far and it is nearly healed. I'm hoping that it's going to be healed from this last lot of treatment, otherwise I might have to do some more, but touch wood I don't. So it's a really cool experience, and so yeah, you're breathing in 100% oxygen, but it's a pressurized room, which I probably should have said at the start, and it's pressurized so that you are equivalent to being 14 meters underwater. They normally do this therapy for people that have the bends, or footy players, cancer patients, diabetics, and amputees, but funny enough, I'm the only one in there for Crohn's. I'm pretty sure I got told by the doctor that, like, allows you into the treatment. He's like, you're my first Crohn's patient, so I'm like the guinea pig. That's another thing in life, I've always been the guinea pig for student nurses. If they wanted to try something new, I just put my hand up, because it's like, they gotta learn on someone. So I've always read with him like, yeah, you can do it. So this is new. I don't know if I'm the only one in Australia, but I think I'm the only one in Queensland that has done hyperbaric for Crohn, so I'll let you know how that goes. But yeah, it's pretty cool to go, like, say, like, I'm going diving today, when really you're just going into a room pressurized with air and you're just breathing oxygen for 2 hours. But it's still fun to say that I'm going 14 meters down. This little whiteboard that I always have in my background is some quotes that have always, sorry I'm moving around, have always helped me get through, and I write them down on my whiteboard so I see them every day. The bottom one, which is the most common one, is, if anyone knows, the people that know me personally and friends of family have always called me a fighter. So in this, I've always wanted to get into a tribute to my Crohn's. I always wanted it in my Crohn's tribute tattoo, which I wanted to get done. And then the last few years I decided I didn't want it in like my handwriting or my tattoo artist, like the script that he would come up with. I wanted it in Jared's handwriting because of how much he's done for me. So I wanted a permanent reminder of like him. And then the second quote, which I also wanted in his handwriting, was from a TV show that funny, well, it's not funny in the way that it did get cancelled, but funny in the way that it got cancelled. And then that same year, Jared started his Always Keep Fighting campaign. That quote is, "Luck isn't getting what you want, it's surviving what you don't want." And that is another tattoo that I would love to get in Jared's handwriting, but I don't know how I would go on about that, because in the conventions over here, and Jared doesn't come over here that lot, it's kind of hard to ask for them to write you something to get tattooed in the autograph session. That's a little bit off topic anyway, but that is why, if you were ever wondering what those quotes were and why I have them there, that is my daily reminder. And it's kind of like a, I don't know if you want to call it a vision board of how I would one day love to get those quotes written in Jared's handwriting so I can get them tattooed. The second thing is, if you saw my Kmart haul video, you would have seen him on my bed. I'll just quickly get him. Okay, so this also goes back to 2017 when I did my surgery. My sister made me this Build-A-Bear, and yes, it looks like a she, but it's actually a he. She made it look, because in hospital this is kind of my getup. I just wear a pajama top and underwear or pajama shirt. I mainly wear pajamas in hospital. I don't wear the gowns, mainly because they don't fit me. So it's a custom Build-A-Bear because when she did it, she spoke to the nurses on the ward and they gave her, this is actually a baby ostomy bag, and then she got the chick that at Build-A-Bear to sew on a little red pom-pom so it looks like a stoma, and he has a bear. His name is Steven, and yes, I like to name the bear. So I did that, and he just sits on my bed, and he smells like donuts, which is my favorite, and I love it. So that was it for this kind of video, guys. I know, oh god, I hope it's not a long one, but if it is, I don't. So I'm sorry guys if this is a long video, but you know how I can get if you have been following me. If you're new and you just clicked on this video, I hope you liked it. And if you have Crohn's, you will understand half the shit I've been talking about. And that's kind of it for this video. That's the main areas I really wanted to talk about, and I think I got them across. I hope I didn't ramble. I probably did. I won't know until I start editing this. I hope you guys still enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!